Every gardener knows the moment when autumn's last warmth slips away and the instinct hits to stop planting altogether. Many pull their tools inside, assume the season is over, and wait for spring to reset the calendar. But throughout history, from early European kitchen gardens to monastic farming traditions and frontier homesteads, winter was never treated as a dead zone. It was a strategic growing window for hardy crops that fed families when nothing else would grow. What most modern growers miss is that some of the most powerful winter crops are not the ones everyone talks about. They're not the flashy seed packet favourites or the trendy cold-frame vegetables. They're the overlooked varieties that kept settlements alive during shortages, sieges, and harsh seasons. For the next minute, we're stepping briefly into that mindset. Winter not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity to grow the crops that quietly deliver the highest self-sufficiency payoff. And by the time you finish this guide, you'll know exactly which 3 crops deserve space in every winter garden, and how to plant them correctly for reliable production. The first overlooked winter crop is mache, a historic survival green with unmatched cold endurance. Matcha, also known as corn salad or lamb's lettuce, has been feeding people through European winters for centuries. It grows slowly but steadily, even in freezing temperatures, and unlike spinach or lettuce, it does not collapse under frost. This resilience is why it became a staple in regions where winter vegetables were scarce, and why it still stands out as one of the most dependable greens for off-season self-sufficiency. Matcha grows quite close to the ground, forming these dense little rosettes that, stay tender even when the weather turns cold. To plant it effectively, you'll want to sow the seeds directly in the soil during late autumn. They actually germinate best when the temperatures drop, which honestly makes them ideal for climates where most other crops are just shutting down. Once it's established, matcha needs very little maintenance, really no protection, and just a minimal amount of water. It thrives in poor soils and keeps producing those small, nutritious leaves all through the winter months. For gardeners aiming to build a sustainable winter pantry, matcha offers consistent harvests when, other greens tend to fail. On a practical level, matcha is best harvested by cutting the entire rosette right at soil level. New clusters might even form if the temperatures stay mild. This method was actually used historically in monastery gardens, where space was tight and, of course, efficiency really mattered. If you want a winter green that can be planted and, practically forgotten, matcha is the choice that modern gardeners rarely consider, but honestly should. The second overlooked winter crop is claytonia, the cold-loving green that thrives when daylight disappears. Claytonia, also called miner's lettuce or winter purslane, is another historic plant tied to periods of hardship and exploration. It kept miners alive during harsh conditions, it fed explorers in forested regions of North America, and it continues to be one of the hardiest edible greens known. What sets claytonia apart is its ability to grow, even when daylight hours are minimal. Many crops tolerate cold but still require abundant sun. Claytonia grows in low-light environments and even lightly wooded areas. To use it in a winter garden, you'll want to direct sow the seeds in late autumn, or, early winter. The plant forms these lovely circular leaves with tender stems, and thanks to its shallow root system, it just sort of spreads naturally. Once it gets established, it reseeds itself reliably. Many survival gardeners, well, they intentionally allow this reseeding cycle to happen because it turns Claytonia into a perennial winter food source without the need for replanting. Claytonia's key advantage, really, is its harvest window. You can pick it leaf by leaf or just cut entire clusters if you prefer. Since it grows rapidly in cold, uneven conditions, it actually replenishes itself faster than most winter greens. So this makes Claytonia a practical solution for winter salads, wilted greens, or, mixed stir-fry additions. History shows that communities survived winter not by waiting for ideal conditions, but by growing crops that adapted to the season. Claytonia remains one of the strongest examples of that principle. The third overlooked winter crop is field peas, grown not for pods, but for shoots. Field peas have a long history in ancient and medieval agriculture as a hardy winter cover that doubled as a food source. Most gardeners today overlook the fact that field pea shoots are among the fastest-growing edible greens in cold temperatures. When planted in mid to late autumn, they push up fresh, tender shoots throughout winter, even during periods of frost. To grow field pea shoots efficiently, just broadcast the seeds densely over a bed or tray. You don't need full spacing, because you're not growing them for mature pods. Cover lightly with soil, keep them moist during the early germination period, and allow the cold temperatures to slow growth naturally. Once the plants reach, about 3 to 6 inches tall, cut the top few inches of growth. They will regrow from the lower nodes, allowing multiple harvest cycles. Historically, field pea shoots were used in soups and porridges during winters when cultivated greens were scarce. Today, they serve as an easy winter vegetable with high yields and really minimal effort. Gardeners seeking self-sufficiency can use this method to produce bowls of edible greens without the need for greenhouses or heated structures. Even small indoor trays on a cold windowsill can supply fresh shoots through winter storms. The real key to winter planting is choosing crops that evolved to withstand scarcity. The mistake many gardeners make is selecting winter crops that merely tolerate cold rather than those that perform in it. Mache, Claytonia and field pea shoots, they fill the gap that modern seed catalogues often overlook. These remarkable plants require little labour, minimal protection, and deliver a steady food supply at a time when, honestly, fresh vegetables are usually unavailable. By planting these 3 crops, you align your winter garden with the strategies that kept families, monastic communities, and early settlers alive during harsh seasons. It's a practice rooted in history, really. Winter doesn't need to be a dormant period. It can be, in fact, one of the most productive phases of the year if you choose correctly. If this guide gave you new insight into the forgotten world of winter self-sufficiency, make sure you subscribe to Hydro Haven. Share this video with fellow history and survival-minded viewers, and stay tuned for more deep-rooted, time-tested growing knowledge.